Pokemon Draft League is already a fake metagame. Now, before you come at me all upset, I love Draft. It's really the only format I play on a consistent basis. The different team compositions, awesome text, and creativity in the format is amazing. But really, it is a fan-made meta with arbitrary rules that we made up. Still, everything we play is achievable within the confines of the actual video game. Well, at least most of the time. What if I told you there was once a brief period in Draft League where the community played a completely made-up metagame with fake movesets, pretending as if it was official over the course of several months, even at the highest levels of competition? Back in 2020, the Pokemon Sword and Shield DLCs were released. Between the Isle of Armor's release date of June 17, 2020, and the Crown Tundra's release date of October 22, 2020, we received a set of leaks. These leaks detailed a bunch of moves that Pokemon were supposedly getting in the upcoming Crown Tundra DLC. I say leaks in that way because they were in no way confirmed. But for a reason I honestly can't remember, everyone believed them. In fact, they believed them so much so that many, if not most, Showdown leagues began playing with these fake leaked movesets as if they were legal, creating a fake metagame we'll be talking about today. To be fair to these leaks, they were actually mostly correct in predicting the moves that Pokemon would get, with about 90% accuracy. However, I say predicting because realistically, most of these were common sense guesses to buff certain move pools, with the exceptions of some laughable ones that were wrong. If you guys do enjoy today's video on this little Draft League tidbit of history and lore, be sure to drop a like on the video as well as subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and if everybody who watches this today drops a sub, we should hit it, so I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, and yeah, let's jump into these fake movesets. First up, we'll talk about the most egregious of these fake leaks, Tapu Koko. I am convinced that whoever made these leaks was the biggest Koko fan of all time. They saw the Draft League viability of Koko fall off a bit in Swish and decided he needed to become laughably broken. One of the biggest gripes with Koko is that it could never effectively use its stronger physical attack stat due to the lack of a physical fairy stab option. According to these leaks, Koko got access to Play Rough, making its strong base 115 attack usable alongside Wild Charge, Brave Bird, U-Turn, and Close Combat. Wait, Close Combat? Yeah, Koko now had Close Combat, giving it the ability to reduce most counterplay with the sole exception of the Nidos to a pulp. So say goodbye to Pokemon like Ferrothorn as a Koko check. Patching up Koko and making an elite physical attacker already catapulted it to probably the best Pokemon in the format. But like I said, whoever came up with these either really loved Koko or hated it and wanted it banned. I say that because the last move in its arsenal was Rising Voltage, a special electric attack that doubled in base power in electric terrain, taking it from 70 to 140 in power before additional multipliers like Stab, electric terrain itself, or held items. That is a Stab, 140 boosted move in terrain with 0 drawbacks. This made Koko laughably broken, destroying the leagues it was allowed in and getting banned in many others. I'm sure if these were real move pool editions, Koko would not have been allowed in many places much longer. You're gonna think this is an Island Guardian specific video, as all 4 saw huge boosts. Reason being, a lot of the Isle of Armor moves interacted with terrain in specific ways, the next of which is going to be Tapu Lele. Lele was only given one move really, but man oh man did it make this thing a monster. Lele was given Expanding Force, the psychic terrain clone of the previously mentioned Rising Voltage. As you can imagine, this made Lele insanely busted. Think of it this way, Psychic only has a single immunity in Dark, much like Electric with Ground. The only difference is, Dark types do not deal with Lele as Grounds do with Koko, as they are one Stab Moonblast away from absolute deletion. So this means there are no immunity pivots into the Stab, terrain boosted, 0 drawback base 140 power move. Steel types were going to be your best bet, but Steel types typically don't have reliable recovery, so Expanding Force plus Hazards would typically be more than enough throughout the course of a game. On top of that, it's not like Lele didn't have coverage for Steels already in Focus Blast, making it nigh impossible to switch into. I'll have Sunny throw a couple calcs on screen to illustrate how insane this Pokemon was. Specs killed everything and demolished fatter teams, and Scarf Expanding Force was an incredible tool in revenging offensive threats. This is another Pokemon I think would have been banned if this meta was given time to develop. The other 2 Tapus had some substantial changes as well, but they weren't half as broken. Feeny only really received Flip Turn as a notable addition to its move pool. This was an incredible buff, don't get me wrong. Being able to use Feeny to gain momentum was incredible when you take into account how amazing its defensive typing is in Water and Fairy. However, this buff wasn't half as game-breaking as Koko and Lele's. Tapu Bulu also received a substantial buff. Much like Koko, it was always severely lacking in physical Fairy Stab. Having your fairy type constantly walled by opposing dragons was very rough. In these leaks, Bulu finally got access to Play Rough, making it a real fairy type. It also received the amazing Grassy Glide. Another terrain-specific move, Grassy Glide became a strong stab priority move when used in the grassy terrain. This move had already propelled Rillaboom to star status in Draft League, and finally Bulu was on par with its fellow Grassy Surge brother. Sadly, as you know, this would not last as these leaks were fake. The fact that GameFreak didn't give Bulu, Play Rough, or Grassy Glide drives me crazy to this day. I get Koko and Lele, but they were scared Dog Water Bulu would be too good? Cowards. Let me see a hashtag justice for Bulu in the comments. To finish off, we'll mention a few more of these leaks that did not come to pass that were still notable, but not as crazy as the Tapu buffs. First off was the Ultra Beast Celesteela. They gave Baymax here cosmic power. Silly is already known for being insanely bulky, and giving it a setup move that boosted its defenses was insane. It couldn't always fit it, as Silly had pretty 4 move slot syndrome in most matches, but it definitely resulted in some frustrated players. We also saw the likes of Blacephalon getting Scorching Sands, which is incredible coverage, since every offensive fire type dreams of having solid ground coverage. This made prior checks like Tyranitar and especially Heatran think twice about coming in, whereas before they almost countered the Pokemon. And of course, I would be remiss to not mention Power Whip Gliscor. This moveset addition actually caused a huge controversy in DPL because half of the player base thought it was allowed and half the players thought it wasn't, and it was a big old debacle, so of course, I have to shout that out. Overall, this fake DLC metagame was very brief, and is often forgotten about when discussing the Sword and Shield metagame. But those who were around look back on this short, chaotic period as a ton of fun. But seriously, can we please give Bulu Grassy Glide and Play Rough? He's terrible. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, like I said before, please consider dropping a sub on the channel. We're on our way to 3,000, and yeah, we're putting a lot of effort, a lot of really cool Draft League content, whether it be battles, if you just want to see me play games, or if you want more, scripted discussion, lore type Draft League videos like this. We got plenty of that here as well. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed. I thought this was a fun topic, and I remember playing a couple leagues during this metagame, and it was a ton of fun. So I figured, all the Draft League Zoomers that just started playing this gen should hear about it. But yeah, again, thank you guys so much for watching. Drop a like if you enjoyed, sub if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know if there's a discussion you want me to talk about too. Later.